I'm Chocolo here, but not for a video review, this time for Look Back episode 15. Yeah, this is basically where I look back at reviews I did 1 year ago and 5 years ago, because I've been doing the channel for 5 years now, believe it or not. Yeah, and basically look at the scores I gave, and whether I reviewed them really, and also to see whether, you know, products that were around, well, I guess a year ago probably the products will still be around, but you never know, and 5 years ago it's still about, and yeah, whether things have changed really, or just this time over, and just my opinions generally on the product, and yeah, what I gave it. So links for all these will be in the description, all my reviews of them, and I'll probably put a message at some point, if not already, in the future, or about now at some point anyway, in this corner here, just to say links are in the description. Yes, if you want to look at the reviews, go check them out there. It'll be a great way to yeah, to see actually the full thing and my full opinion on it, rather than this condensed version. And I did the top 50 chocks of all time 5 years ago as well, so that will be linked in the description also. So if you want to check those out, obviously it was 5 years old now, so things may have changed, but nonetheless it's an interesting watch. So yeah, link for those, as I say, in the description. Okay, without further ado, then let's get on with it. So you will see me looking on the right over here, just because I've got a list of my notes basically, so I will have to look over there every now and again. So apologies for that, but there we go. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. Yeah, a year ago I started doing the live reviews, so I did a couple of them. I did the Nestle Dairy Box Christmas Collection review, which I gave 3.5 out of 5. I think basically I thought it looked really nice. The presentation was lovely, but I thought basically it just, all the chocolates, which I found was quite a regular problem with a lot of these chocolate selections actually. They're just mainly truffles. They were mainly very similar chocolates. You know, there's one that was really nice in there. It reminded me a bit of a Nestle Crunch Bar almost, really. But I think for the most part, they were just all very truffly, very similar. There was, you know, yeah, very sort of, you know, just very samey, really. And as I say, that is quite a common problem in chocolate selections. I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt, keep it a 3.5 out of 5, but I feel like it might be a 3, very average. But, you know, yeah, we'll see. And I know they've changed the chocolates in this collection as well. I think, well, obviously this was the Christmas one, but you know, I think the regular sort of dairy box have changed as well. But yeah, interesting one. I don't know if the Christmas one's out this year. I'm not sure. Let me know if it is. But yeah, yeah, it was just sort of like, yeah, I don't know. It was very, yeah, they were just too similar, the chocolates, too all truffle-y type things, you know, pralines, things like this, just all the same. And as I say, that is a common problem with chocolate selections, I've noticed. Yeah. Now, the very first one I did actually a year ago was the Thorns Christmas Collection review. I didn't even have the graphics to do the stars at the bottom like I do nowadays. I did start them in the Nestle Dairy Box one. I gave this 3.5 out of 5 as well. And I said it lent, yeah, again, too much to all these soft centres, even ones that sort of, you know, like pralines and truffles, even ones that really shouldn't have been. I think it was like a honeycomb one, honeycomb baton, I think it was called. Yeah, but you know, but even that wasn't like crunchy or whatever. It was still creamy, you know. And I thought again, it was just a common problem where they're all just too sort of truffly. So again, I feel like this one might be a 3 out of 5 if I reviewed it again. But again, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And I do remember I had a very special Christmas tree shaped chocolate one as well. I had a nice presentation, as they all do, but a big sort of chocolate Christmas tree in the centre. Which often some of the sort of more, yeah, extravagant ones do like they say, oh, here's our chocolate, you know, a big block of the chocolate, but it generally tastes just okay, you know what I mean. But there we go. Yeah, so that 3.5 out of 5. But as I said, I feel like both of these might be a 3 out of 5 if I review them again, but I feel I'll give myself the benefit of the doubt, because sometimes they do have something a bit special about them, so I can perhaps say that gave them an extra half mark just from it being a nice Christmas selection. But I think generally both of those collections were sort of, yeah, very typical really. Well, yes, I did a member review a year ago. I think I just started doing the member reviews actually, and it was I think I did anyway. But anyway, this one that was available then was the yeah, chocolate orange cornetto. Yeah, so a link for that's in the description, as I say. So check it out. Very interesting one, really. Yeah. So if you want to become a member, you've hit the bronze tier, you will get some exclusive reviews. So check it out. Link for that's in the description. I think there's about 50 to 60 reviews up there now, exclusive for members. So definitely get you definitely get something good if you're interested in my reviews. So check it out. Yeah, bronze membership or above. But yeah, so started with the Milka Oreo brownie. Now, I remember Scotty actually sent me this one, so thanks so much, Scotty. Massively appreciated that one. Now, the thing with this one is Oreo, well, Oreo, of course, quite a typical chocolate bar product at this point, but a brownie is very difficult to replicate in the chocolate bars, really, because it never, as you know, when you have a brownie, you know, in a restaurant or something, it's always very warm, it's very moist, gooey, it's got like chocolate pieces in. Some of them are more solid than others. It's got just, you know, it's just all different textures and different tastes, and it's very hard to replicate in a chocolate bar because they're not warm to start with, unless, you know, you've been left out in the sun or something, in which case it's probably not the best idea or in the best state to eat. You know, and it's just, I don't know, it's never quite the same. It doesn't have that, it's usually in a chocolate bar, it's never soft and cakey. It's always like crunchy or crumbly. It's rarely just as you'd imagine it to be. Even when you get cake bites of brownie, you know, it's always sort of just one texture, one note, and while sometimes it can taste quite nice, I still never replicate that sort of magic fresh from the oven sort of warm brownie taste or whatever, you know. And then obviously you probably eat it with ice cream as well, which is even better, and that's a warm and cold, you know, combination. Wonderful stuff. Yeah, and basically this Milka brownie didn't really sort of Oreo brownie, it didn't really work either, unfortunately. It was I think it was a strange product. Well, it was like from Bulgaria, I think, something like that. It wasn't a typical sort of, you know, available in the UK type product, and you know, I think normally sort of Oreo products are maybe available in, I don't know, sort of France, Germany, places like this, but I think this one was very much an Eastern European bar. Might have been available elsewhere, of course, but I think this particular one anyway would seem that way. Yeah, long story short is, what did I give? I gave 3.5 out of 5. I don't know, I feel like I might reduce that to a 3 nowadays, but I'm not sure. I think it wasn't too bad. It just didn't manage to, you know, it just didn't manage to get that brownie right. It had a sort of Oreo piece in there, the typical Oreo sort of crunchy biscuit pieces or whatever, or, you know, crumbly biscuit pieces or what have you. You know, I think that those are so sort of typical nowadays. You know, it's just we've had them all before so many times, but nonetheless, they did it pretty well. But yeah, I think for me, I don't know, it was just okay. I think it just wasn't quite, you know, right. I think 3.5 for effort. I think probably normally it might be a 3, but I think I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and keep it to 3.5 basically. It was okay, but it just didn't manage to get the brownie side right, and the Oreo pieces were just, I don't know, we've seen it so many times before, but at least it didn't have the cream in it, as far as I remember anyway. So that's something, because I'm sick of the Oreo cream in various chocolate products, I must say. It rarely gets the actual cream right, and then it's just doesn't work at all, I don't think. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5. I think that's probably about right, really. But you know, as I say, if anything, it'd be a 3. But yeah, so there we go. But good attempt. Then what do we have? We had the Nestle KitKat Honeycomb. Yeah, this one, massively disappointing, this one. I gave it a 2. It just was so, the flavour just tasted artificial, basically. Yeah, it just wasn't a nice product. You know, it didn't have pieces of honeycomb in it. You know, it's just a very artificial, it was just artificial taste. It didn't taste great. It was just a real miss, this one. Yeah. If anything, it's probably, you know, you can almost say it's a 1.5 out of 5, really. I'm tempted to lower it to that, really. It just wasn't. I think I'll keep it at a 2, but it wasn't great at all. I think it's still around now. I don't recommend that one. It came out at the same time as, I think, the hazelnut spread one, which was actually a nice surprise. It wasn't really hazelnut spread, actually. It's more like hazelnut butter, really. It's sort of like had a, you know, hazelnut, well, basically the equivalent of a peanut butter, but in hazelnut form. It was actually very nice, a real surprise. I recommend that one, but this one, yeah, avoid it. And yeah, you know what, it's very tempting to give it 1.5 out of 5. I think usually I give 1.5 to things that are just really, you know, worse than below average. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I am going to give it 1.5 out of 5. I think that's probably about right, really. It just didn't work. It wasn't nice. Yeah, 1.5 out of 5, that one. Yeah, pretty poor. Then what do we have? We had the Cadbury Freddo White Treasures. Yeah, so I reviewed. Well, you would have seen in the last look back, last episode of Look Back, I did the basically the same thing but in a golden treasure chest, and that was milk chocolate buttons. This one's a white chocolate equivalent in a silver treasure chest. Pretty much the same, actually. Had all the same benefits. A really nice product for kids, basically. I mean, the toy, it came with a free toy or two. They're pretty cheap toys and everything, but they worked pretty well for kids. You had stickers and things, and you had like you know, in the treasure chest itself, the kids could play with. It was a really good quality treasure chest, actually. You know, nice, yeah, just really good. And it would just keep little kids amused for quite some time with the stickers, the toys. They weren't great quality or anything, but they would work. And the sweets were pretty good as well. The only reason I got this, gave it 4.5 out of 5, and the only reason it wasn't a 5, which I gave the other one, was because the Cadbury were really lazy on the actual, the wrapper for the white chocolate buttons, basically. Because they didn't put any sort of images of the toys on the button, on the wrappers, which they did do with the milk chocolate ones. And because that's half of it, you know, it's basically the toy, the characters in the toys, and then, you know, this and the other appeared on the wrappers, basically. You know, and it was just, really poor that they didn't do it. So it didn't meld together, it didn't work as a whole, you know. And I think it was just part of it for the experience for the kids, was just to see the sort of the characters on the wrappers and things. I think it actually came with 3 toys, I think, you know, actually. It wasn't just 1 or 2. So, you know, there was likely that the toys would be on these wrappers, and it was just a really lazy effort, and I couldn't believe they did it, really. As I say, it's really poor. you know, yeah, I guess because obviously because basically the milk chocolate ones had sort of pictures of, I think the milk chocolate buttons made up the eyes of the characters, so they obviously couldn't do that for the white chocolates without recreating the images. And it was just, I said, that's really lazy, because all you have to do is just Photoshop the milk chocolate buttons to look like white chocolate ones. It's really lazy effort. So overall, it was still a good product for kids, but that, I say, I think part of it is just the image of the characters appearing on the bags. It's just, it just makes a difference, that kind of thing. So really poor. But nonetheless, it was still good, but just really poor effort, that lazy. But yeah, so 4.5 out of 5. It's still a good product. I'd say that treasure chest was really good, and kids could be playing with that for a long time. It might, the lid might break quite easily, I think, but nonetheless, I still think it was a good solid toy, and I think kids would have really enjoyed that on its own. And I say the buttons and the toys themselves and the stickers. So yeah, pretty good. I mean, there's holograms as well as part of the toys as well, some of the eyes and things. It was just a good, for what it cost, which was not very much. It's £3 to £5. I think it was. You got quite a lot in there. Let's say, I think kids would actually play quite a lot with it. So yeah, and you got some buttons. And what else? So we had the KitKat Christmas break. Yeah, I think it was a bit of this was basically sort of like, I think it was reindeer shapes. I think it was in like a little mini KitKat. I think it was reindeer. Was it reindeers? I think it was. Anyway, basically, I thought it was all right. I gave this a 4 out of 5. The problem with it was. It's meant to have like sort of like crispy pieces inside them, and it didn't have that many. And as you know, sort of Kit Kats are mainly about that sort of crispy crunch from the wafer, and this one had sort of like Rice Krispie pieces in, but not much of them. And I just felt it didn't really ring true to a Kit Kat product. Really, I just felt it just really didn't. I mean, you get the equivalents of these sort of things for Maltesers, basically. I think that's what they basing it on. It's like you get those Maltesers, like sort of like Kit Kat truffle. Yeah, there's some Maltesers, sort of like that Malteser truffle, or the Malteser teasers with a sort of a crunchy Maltese sort of balls in them, or what have you. So you get the impression it's kind of trying to be a bit something like that, but it just didn't really work as a Kit Kat version of them. It didn't really feel Kit Kat-y. It just wasn't crunchy enough. And I say those Rice Krispies aren't what you get in Kit Kats. You get wafer. And I really could argue that the sort of Malteser truffle isn't really what you get in Maltese, but it's a Maltese truffle. This one, as I say, the sort of soft centre in this one wasn't really anything Kit Kat related. So it was all right, but it just didn't really hit the Kit Kat feel really, and I think that's what you'd be expecting from it. So, but it's still nice and it looked good. But yeah, 4 out of 5. Now what else do we have? Mr. Kipling Mince Pie flavour slices. Yeah, so as everyone has probably seen, Mr. Kipling released loads of different versions of their slices. Some of them better than others. Some of them like weird, just basically different colour sponges, and that's about it. And some usually they have like a middle, so it's like you imagine like a little mini, sort of like that tall, but quite thin, long and thin, that tall sort of cake slice. Some of them they have basically two coloured sponges on top of each other that are melded into one, so it's not like they don't separate. They've been poured on top of each other and then baked. Sometimes you have like a cream, not quite a cream, but like a jam filling of some kind, or some kind of filling that could be custard or chocolate cream. So in this case, that middle is like a mince pie flavoured jam, I think it was, or something along those lines. And this product was just terrible. It just was all sort of basically like pastry, I think it was. I didn't think it was a cake. I think it was like more pastry. But I mentioned pastry anyway in the review. So she was probably more like a slice or whatever. But I think anyway, it just wasn't. It just didn't work. It just wasn't a very nice product. And I think it was more like a sort of replica of the sort of Mr. Kipling pastry, basically, in the slice form. It just didn't work at all. You just basically all that, and then the centre was very bland and tasteless. It was just a really poor product, really lazy effort, and just terrible. Really was. I just remember thinking, what on earth is this? It didn't really come across as mince pie. The filling was really poor. The slices are quite poor generally anyway. When for the most part, because a lot of them they just have really sort of, they don't have a middle, or the sponges don't taste very good, and let's say a middle like the jam centre or whatever. And I say these ones were just really poor. They just didn't come across as mince pie like, and they were just terrible, really terrible. 1 out of 5 for sure. Yes, then we had the Cabbage Caramel. Can you believe it? This is the Australian one. It's a year ago. I can't believe that, really. It's gone so quickly. 5 out of 5 for this one. It was so nice. It was just a big chunky bar, a massive big block of chocolate, and it was the chocolate sections were sort of like nice and thick and chunky, as I say, and it was just proper, a white chocolate flavour with caramel. So it wasn't just like your Caramac or your McVitie's Gold, where it's just like a caramel flavoured substance. Really, it isn't actually white chocolate. Really nice, really thick. Just really worked very well. 5 out of 5. Definitely, yeah, definitely keeping this the same. This one, it was very nice indeed. It was. They've done the UK one since, which I don't know. In the sort of the big block version, it was a lot thinner, you know, and it wasn't substantial. It wasn't quite as good. It wasn't a million miles away, but it just wasn't delivered in quite the same way. So yeah, but yeah, the Australian one, were definitely the way to go. Really nice. 5 out of 5 for sure. Yeah, very nice that one was. Yes, so what else do we have? We had the Milky Way Midnight. Yes, I gave this a 4 out of 5. Basically, it's a US import, and Milky Way in the US is essentially a Mars bar. So you imagine, but it's not quite as good as the UK one. But it's got the same thing. It's got caramel and nougat, and then it's covered in milk chocolate. They don't actually have Mars bars in the US, which I was very surprised by when I learned it. I thought the Mars bar was a US thing basically, but it's not. So it's not really anything like the UK Milky Way at all. So this one was a bit like the Mars Dark that came as a limited edition a few years, 10 years ago maybe in the UK. So it had like a sort of dark chocolate rather than milk chocolate, and then the nougat was sort of like a like a vanilla flavoured one basically. And this was still very nice, but it wasn't as good as the old Mars Dark basically. But I still really like I like this combination. The US Milky Way, the US Milky Way doesn't really taste that great actually. The general, it just has, because it has loads of calories in it, but has almost no taste. But this this Milky Way Midnight, good name as well, actually does taste pretty good. As I say, it's a 4 out of 5. I like this one a lot more than the regular US Milky Way. It just looks good and it's nice, but it's just not as good as the UK one. I think the chocolate's not quite as good, and it's just not quite as nice basically. But yeah, not too bad all the same. I say 4 out of 5, so I think that's about right, that one. And then what do we have? Yeah, the Ritter Sport Coconut Macaroon. Yeah, this one's come out again this year. It's the winter edition ones, basically. They said this was okay. Good balance of textures, I said, but basically didn't have much flavour about it, really. And it's not really very Christmassy either. It's like a wintry one, or wintry even, you know. So, yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think that's probably about right. You know, so it just could do a bit more taste about it, really. So it's definitely lower, if anything, not higher. But it was okay. But, as I say, I don't know. Not really a winter product, really, I wouldn't have said. Yeah. And as I say, not much, lots of textures, not much taste. Bit of an odd one. There we go. Then we had the Cadbury Winter Mint Crisp. Yeah, I gave this one a 4 out of 5. It's a massive bar, this one. I think you could probably get it smaller, but it came in a massive, well, you know, you might be able to get it smaller, but the one that I saw and always saw was just a huge bar, a big block of chocolate. I thought this was really nice, actually, and I said it had a lovely smell to it, and I say lots lovely dairy milk taste, but I said the mint flavour kind of ruined the dairy milk taste a bit. You couldn't taste it as much. But did like the, the mint sort of crispiness to it and everything. I think probably this one's better than the 4 out of 5. I think it's just a 4.5 actually. I'm going to raise it a bit, even though it did detract from the dairy milk taste of the mint. I think it was just such a solid, massive bar and everything, and the dairy milk was so nice. And the mint worked pretty well actually. I like mint crisp in it. It was good. I think it was better than I thought. I thought maybe in retrospect, after the event, I thought maybe it was a 5 actually. But I think, listening to what I said at the time about it, sort of the mint detracting from the dairy milk, I think that's probably a good criticism there. So I don't think it would be a 5, but it was definitely better than a 4. I think a 4.5. I really quite enjoyed it actually. Yeah, really quite enjoyed that. Yeah, very nice indeed. So yeah, I think 4.5 out of 5 is about right, I think. Yeah, and then 5 years ago, well, as I said, I did the top 50 chocolates of all time, so go check that out, links in the description. But I also did the Lindor Assorted Chocolate Selection. I gave this a 4.5 out of 5, actually, and I said they were quite well balanced. You basically had sort of chocolate, hazelnuts, dark chocolate and milk chocolate Lindors all together. I said it was just a good assortment, and that particularly the white chocolate sort of broke it up quite well, actually. I think for me, though, this one, I don't know, what I don't like, as the years have gone on, Lindors are just too sickly for me generally, and they're all very similar. And the problem with this one is the white chocolate one's different, but the milk dark and hazelnut one, they've generally got the same sort of centre really. I think it's only the chocolate that's different in all of them. So the dark chocolate one has a sort of dark chocolate surround. It's a very smooth, melt in the mouth, liquidy, solid. It's a solid sense, but it liquefies in the mouth basically. It's very sort of sickly as well, really. There's a lot of it in these sort of Lindor balls, like a sphere of it, essentially, with quite a thick shell of the, say, dark chocolate or milk chocolate or white chocolate. Only the white chocolate one, though, has a centre that's different, and it's a white chocolate flavoured centre, I think. I don't think it's actually white chocolate, as I say, it melts in the mouth. So the dark chocolate one only is on dark chocolate on the outside, and the hazelnut one, I think, is just hazelnut flavoured on the outside, still milk chocolate. So the dark chocolate one's a real wasted opportunity. You could have the dark, you could have the centres of dark chocolate flavoured or whatever. So it's just have a bit more richer rather than the sickliness of it. And
Yeah, and hazelnut one, well, I guess hazelnut one would be roughly the same. And so they're all just too similar for me, and they're all very sickly, and I think they're just too much. I much prefer the mini Lindors because I much prefer the mini Lindors myself because they're so they're just portioned so much better, and they're not too sickly and over the top. Yeah, so I think basically for me, I think this is probably a 3.5 out of 5. Really. I mean, lovers of Lindor obviously will love this, but I still think my criticisms are there. I think as I say, the dark chocolate one should have a dark chocolate centre, and I think the hazelnut one should have let's say well, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to it's just too similar, I guess, to the milk chocolate one, and the dark chocolate one's too similar as well because the centre's the same. And the white chocolate one, while a bit different, is generally it's not different enough to give it the assortment that difference it needs, really, that variation. So just too much. They're too big, too sickly. I don't know. Yeah, and they're quite expensive as well. I think I think a 4.5 out of 5 is just far too high. But I'd say there are people who love Lindors, and I think they'll probably think it should be a 5 out of 5, whatever. But for me, relatively objectively, I think it's a 3.5 out of 5, really. And so not really they're just too big, too sickly, not varied enough. And some missed opportunities there with the dark chocolate one to be a bit different, really. And the hazelnut one and the milk one, milk chocolate one, are just a bit too similar. But there we go. Now, what else do we have? We had a few random ones. We did lots of sort of green and blacks and Japanese KitKats at this time. So we had the green and blacks butterscotch and milk chocolate. And actually, I think I had the sort of the assortment box and I was reviewing them individually. I gave this 4 out of 5, and it was really nice. This one. I remember a friend actually recommended it to me a long time ago in an old place of work, and it was very nice actually. Yeah, just lovely. I mean, the chocolate and the butterscotch sort of centre just really works. It's like crunchy bits, really. Almost, I wouldn't say it's like honeycomb, but it's just like crunchy caramel bits, really. And in the sort of vein of honeycomb, I guess. Really nice, actually. I felt like it would have been a higher score, but I'm going to give myself the benefit of the doubt and say 4 out of 5 still. I think it was nice. Good chocolate, and as I say, good sort of centre as well. Really nice. I think Greenbox is like Cadbury's deluxe division, so yeah, we probably wouldn't think it really, but it is. But yeah, I think that's probably about right. Not too bad at all. 4 out of 5. Yeah, that's a good score. Yeah, and Japanese KitKat strawberry cheesecake. I gave this a 3 out of 5, and I said it was the weaker flavour. Basically the Japanese KitKats are very sort of like 2-fingered, but half the size of regular 2-fingered KitKats, so not quite as long. I say literally half. But just random wacky flavours generally. They're very interesting, very unusual, and they generally work quite well. But I think this the strawberry cheesecake one was quite not very exciting, really. It still tasted okay, but strawberry's a bit of a poor flavour. You'd think it'd be pretty good as a flavour, but generally it's not as good as raspberry. And basically this one, it was just okay, a 3 out of 5. And I think that's probably about right, really. It just was all right. It wasn't one of the better flavours. Then what do you have? Green and blacks and burnt toffee and dark chocolate. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 as well, and I thought it just worked really well. They just complemented each other. So the toffee was kind of quite sweet, but the dark chocolate was very rich, and I thought they just worked very well together. So I think that's probably about right, really. I think a 4 out of 5. And I say, I don't think you get a bigger bar of this. You might be able to, but it is available, or it was at least, in that smaller selection. I think you can get it in a bigger version as well. So I think 4 out of 5 is about right for that. Yeah. Now we had Japanese KitKat Shinshu apple, and I said this was very unique, the taste for this one. I gave this a 4 out of 5, and I think that's still about right, really. I just thought it was just such a unique taste, and it really very hard to explain, really. I just said it sort of, you might have to watch the review to how I described it, really, but I said it was just like sort of, I don't know, not just the flavour of the apple, but it actually almost came across as like eating the apple almost. They really sort of managed to get the bar just to be so radically different than just a flavour. They just something about it. They do a really good job with these when they work. The one that really springs to mind was the wasabi one, which actually it wasn't spicy, but it tasted spicy. It was very bizarre. But yeah, I think this Shinshu apple one was another good example of them just making a really good effort to replicate the sort of like the flavouring experience of eating it, and it was very, very unique and very enjoyable. Yeah, so could tell some effort had gone into it. So 4 out of 5, it was a good mark. We had the Greenbox ginger and dark chocolate. I gave this a 3 out of 5, but I thought it just wasn't. It was all right, but just there's better ones out there, basically. What did I put here? I think it's a bit of a longer note here. The dark chocolate stood out as being a bit too dry, and I think it didn't quite complement the ginger very well. I think it just didn't taste that great, basically. It just, I don't know. Like the other ones worked quite well, like the burnt toffee and things like this. think it's just a combination of that sort of sweet flavour, the richness of the dark chocolate. But this one was just, it just didn't complement each other well, really, I think. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for that one. It was a bit more disappointing. Yeah, and then the last one I did was yes, the Japanese KitKat purple sweet potato. Yeah, which I thought looked great. I had like sort of like white chocolate sort of coloured and a light purple. I thought it looked really nice actually, and definitely reminded me for that reason, just for that reason really, of the old Wonka bar from back in when I was in the university about 20 odd years ago. Yeah, really nice bar that one. It's just ridiculously overly coloured purple chocolate with I think lime green or lime. Yeah. Luminous green sort of balls in it, crunchy balls. So, but this one I thought it just didn't really taste very good. I gave this 2 out of 5, and I think it just really tasted almost earthy. I think I just from memory, it just didn't really taste very good. It was a real missed opportunity as well. This one, it was, let's say, unusual. Usually the Japanese KitKats are pretty clever really, but this one and perhaps the other one as well, the strawberry cheesecake one was a bit mundane, but this one I thought just didn't really taste very good. It just tastes like, I would say it tastes like eating dirt, but a bit of an earthy taste from memory, which maybe potatoes do, but obviously sweet potatoes we want a bit more of a sweet taste. But yeah, disappointing that one. So 2 out of 5 it was. Yeah. So there we go. So that's what I reviewed 1 year ago and 5 years ago. Yes, I'll say I'll link for all those in the description. So check them out if you want to see the full rundown of it all. Good way to see the old reviews, of course. And yeah, let me know. Leave a comment or three what you think about those. Yeah, so there we go. I'll say link for everything like that's in the description. Link for the member program is also in the description. Great way to support the channel, as I say, get exclusive reviews. Worst there was what's it? Yes, it was an orange chocolate cornetto was the exclusive member review from last year this time. Just do one a week basically. I think I've just started doing them at this time. So there are, I think there's about 50, 60 member exclusives now. So if you just join for a month, whatever, you can see them all, binge watch them all, and then quit if you want. But yeah, check them out. But check out the member program. It's great to support the channel, as I say. There are different tiers of membership, so obviously read them carefully. Check out Discord as well. It's great to support the channel. Yeah, leave a like or free, leave a comment. As I say, always great to hear from you. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Bye for now. See ya. Bye.